Tutoring is a booming industry, and it can be done by educators, retired teachers, and even just really awesome college students. We've even had luck in our company with starting to onboard college professors. It's a great industry, but there is a whole back end of business behind it. So this video is dedicated to how I turned my side hustle of tutoring and just making cash on the side to an actual business in the early stages. So you have to think of tutoring not only as like a way to make money, but that you need a legal protection and you need to think in a true business mindset. You don't need a business degree. I have an education degree, but this is the steps that I took. So my first thing that I did when I started making a little bit of money, and I'm like, okay, I need to make this tutoring thing official and get on the books. So my first thing I did was I made an LLC. So my LLC was done through LegalZoom. They made it super, super easy. And like I said, I have no business background, and they filed it with the state, which my state is Florida, and they gave me an EIN after a few days if it was processed and approved. They're also good about like checking names and business names to make sure that no one else has it, because you don't want to do that and get yourself in trouble. So I would definitely check them out as an easy way to start. Starting fees vary per state. I think mine was like $400, so it's not free, but it's really needed to have an EIN or that tax ID number. That's different than your social. Your next step that you want to do is, once you get your EIN number, is you got a couple of things to think about on the money end. So you want to think about, okay, so you've got a few clients that's paying you in cash. That's not sustainable in the long run, especially for taxes. You're like, okay, how can I make this more official? And you've got two things that you need to do. One is you need to have a payment processor. So if you are seeing clients, especially online, I would do just a simple credit card processing, and there's tons built in. My big one that I like is Stripe. Stripe is everywhere, and I know some people use Square, but once you have your EIN, you sign up for Stripe, you put in your social, you put in a bunch of stuff, but pretty much that lets you legally connect payments. Then with Stripe, you have to connect it to a bank account. Now there's kind of two categories of thoughts. If you have a good bit in savings and you want to like protect yourself and provide more buffer, I would start a business bank account. Or if you don't want anything from the business coming into your account separately, it's just like a good legal protection. And this is not technically legal advice, so always seek like a lawyer, CPA, like whoever's going to help you. But in general, you would likely want a business bank account that attaches to your Stripe. I originally was having, I was having some of the business funds go to our family bank account, and it was making it a mess. And that being said, once I got a separate bank account, I just have it through Wells Fargo, and I hooked it up to Stripe. Things were a little bit better. And the nice thing for Wells Fargo, and there's other ones, is we can accept Zelle, which some people like, and Zelle right now doesn't have any fees, which I'm a big fan of that. Credit cards, so do have fees. I think the average is like 2.9%, and I believe Venmo Business just upped their fees as well. So no matter how you cut it, you're gonna have fees. And then the last thing outside, once you have like how to collect your money and how to organize your money, is you need to get your invoicing software, and this makes you look official. I think there's cheap to free ones online. I really like Zoho billing / invoice. They have two different categories. For the longest time, we used the free version. And now we have a paid version of like Zoho billing. And it's great because it saves credit cards on file, which is a game changer, but it also makes you look more official. So people aren't like having to show up in cash. You're not having to cut change. You're not having to chase them around for Venmo. Is you have them invoice, you have their email, and you have a customer profile, and it tracks all the records. Because what is really common is people ask, hey, can I have a ledger for all the transactions that occurs? And we see that a lot with kids with like joint custody and stuff like that. If just so that parents have a final statement. So please, please, please consider also getting an invoicing software. So the things I covered are making an LLC, get an EIN, get your payment processing like Stripe or Square, get your business bank account, and then get your invoicing software going. Now that you have all this, you're like, okay, what's next? Outside of acquiring clients and all that stuff, the last thing I would do, if you haven't done it already, is set up a QuickBooks business. There's a bunch of different options. I have a cheaper option. I think there's fancy ones out there too. But what is critical about that is I have my business credit card on there, which is not essential in the beginning. I have it linked there. I have it also linked to my like Wells Fargo business account. And what happens is each day I check my QuickBooks. It breaks down a profit and a loss, so I know how much I'm spending, especially because I pay teachers and I pay overhead, but it also knows how much profit I'm coming in, because what you are going to want to get into is your profit and loss statements, which is just pretty much how much you made and how much you spent. So the nice thing about QuickBooks is, like, I don't have to think much. Once the bank accounts are hooked up, I just click refresh and it makes it all work for me. It also suggests and provides you input on how to track your driving, so you can write it off. And some clients we do drive for, so that's a blessing. But that being said, I know this seems like a lot, especially if you're just starting out, but it's really not. These are just basic fundamentals to kind of get your ducks in a row. And if you come up with invoicing software and you know that your tax ID is ready, things will be more peaceful for you. But also, families will take you more seriously if you're coming to them with formal invoicing. You remember, tutoring is still a business. The numbers always have to work to make it sustainable in the long run. That being said, I will be sharing more tips and tricks, so please subscribe and like for more.